In the music industry in general, I think what's happened is we've retreated to the way it was in, let's say, Elvis Presley's day, before the Beatles, before Bob Dylan, before the advent of the singer-songwriter, where I think today's music industry is very much like the music industry was in the 50s, that is very controlled by major media, very controlled by big companies, very controlled by this whole American Idol and America's Got Talent kind of process. The troubadours are kind of an older and different tradition than that. A tradition of really goes back to kind of the Middle Ages or even before that. Nobody knows who the first troubadour was. Peter Case says Homer was the first troubadour.
The children of the highway were singing on the hill. The politicians vanished, they busted, caught their plane.
You were traveling around with Peter and the other musicians in this film, living basically the same lifestyle they were, I would assume, since you had to follow them around to shoot the film. What was it like for you?
Well, I had a full-time teaching job at the time that I did this. I had various full-time teaching jobs at the time that I did this, so it isn't entirely true that I had the same lifestyle as them. Now, subsequently, having been laid off as the movie releases almost simultaneously, I'm now in the position where this really is my livelihood, so now I'm kind of feeling more living the same life that they are.
So you might get a little bit more of that sense of hardship yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I get a little bit of sense of the insecurity of it all, and that's good. That's the kind of life that they lead. I mean, if you think about the history of this, the 1930s and the Depression and the Dust Bowl era was the birthplace of very many Woody Guthrie and Cisco Houston and Pete Seeger and a lot of blues musicians. This was really the kind of what gave birth to the previous generation of itinerant musicians. This generation is more born in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and has lived a kind of a different life. But they carry on a very old musical tradition that's kind of born of hardship and hard times.
What was your impression? Are these musicians out there performing night after night, waiting to hit it big, to be discovered, to make it to the big time? Or are they just content with being out there and playing their music in front of small crowds of people?
She was standing on the corner of Wonderland and Wall, waiting for the light to change and wondering where to go. Take the bottles to the grocery.
I asked a lot of people that exact question. Peter Case with the Plimsolls, Dave Alvin with the Blasters, are two particular examples of artists that have had their little brush with the mainstream music industry, and after their 15 minutes of media exposure is over, they've continued on for 30 or 40 years in some cases. So a lot of them have been through that experience, and this is now what they do to sustain a musical career after the spotlight kind of has passed them by.
Is there a lament about that for them?
I don't think anybody among this set of artists would mind if they made more money. But I can clearly see that is not what drives them. Fame and the big time is not what drives them. What drives them is more and a craft. This is what they do, the way a visual artist refines their craft.
And not unlike the musicians in your film, you'll be on the road yourself, taking this film on the road, trying to get it wider exposure.
Yes, that's very much the way the new filmmaking works. Is it's very grassroots level. So I have screenings scheduled in Pittsburgh, Erie, Columbus, up in New England. I'm hoping for Nashville. I'm hoping for Austin, which are kind of the capitals of this kind of music making. And I'm just going to kind of go wherever I can get 20 people in a room to watch the film. So yeah, I'm kind of living the same life now, as a lot of the performers are.
Tom, thank you very much, and best of luck.
Okay, thank you.
Now when I was a boy, I went to hear this picker play. I still recall this blue guitar like it was yesterday. I was a powder keg waiting for someone to light the fuse. He struck the match and I did catch the troubadour blues. And then I got my first guitar, I played until my fingers bled. Though my parents wished that I were doing something else instead. I wish that